listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Good morning, you're listening to the Frank Skinner Show. I'm Emily Dean, and I'm standing in for Frank today. He can't be with us, he's gone to spend some more time with his family. That's not what it sounds a bit Tory MP. That's not true at all. He's just taking a well-earned break. The bad news is we miss him madly. The good news is there'll be no Bloodwind Pig being played this week, which is, I'm sure, a relief to all of us. Today I have with me the cockerel.
Morning.
Already we've had a row. I'll be discussing that in a minute.
I don't consider it a row.
Oh, I do, my friend. Stick around.
A contretemps.
We also have Steve Hall in the house.
Good morning.
You're not just friend of the show.
Hall in the house.
Okay, Hall in the house. Do you think he's friends with benefits of the show?
Is it?
Goodness me. Wow. I'm going to stick around after the show then, if that's the case. I'm going to sort of mediate between this row, though. I'm a sort of UN peacekeeping forces.
The row's been awful. Well, we'll get on to that, but I should just say you can text the show on 81215, or you can follow the show on Twitter. What's the Twitter handle, Alan? I just did that because I was cross with you. It's at Frank on the Radio.
At Frank on the Radio, or you two have got your own Twitter handles, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Mine's
Social media
at divine_miss_MEM.
Is it?
Yeah.
Easy.
Steve?
It's at Steve Hall Comedy to delineate myself from the Steve... Because there was that Steve Hall who came 7th in Britain's Got Talent, and I thought, I need to stamp my territory.
He's the guy you need to be away from.
Yeah.
You could just be...
social media presence.
You don't want to be at Steve. I think Steve Brookstein stole that one. He snapped it up early on.
Also, for my bad news, I have at Steve Hall Tragedy.
That's good. So Alan and I had a little row. What was it about, Steve?
I don't really know.
It was to do with...
Well, it felt like there was... To be honest, it felt like it was about a lot more than what it was about. It felt like there was several years of sexual tension just rising to the surface.
The cockerel!
And I thought it was going to end in just a long kiss. I wish I could quit you.
Sandy was smiling at the prospect. It's like that viral this week, me and Alan, except you go, no, you go first.
The row was in a certain sense about the heat in here.
Indeed.
But in no way about what you've just described.
I can't help it if I'm giving off these vibes.
I'm a cold-blooded creature, that's it. I don't like rooms boiling hot, and Emily wants it, like, similar to the tropics in here.
I like my rooms like Lagos. Deal with it.
What's Lagos? Is that a place?
Yes, it's a place.
we have options, because there's for the benefit of the readers, there is a temperature gauge, but also a fan gauge. And our respective people here don't agree on... Emily doesn't like it too hot. Alan doesn't like it too blowy.
Yes, exactly.
I don't like it too hot. Emily loves it too hot.
I should also mention it's a bit of a celebration this morning. It's our 5th anniversary.
You're not going to play it? Celebrate!
I will play something, actually. That's the best we can do. Thanks, Frank. You had to improve your jingles. No, it's very exciting. It's 5 years. 5 more years.
Wow.
About 5 more years.
Yeah.
But,
speak to the people.
5 years, that's far. I thought, I have to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed. I thought there was going to be, like, a proper celebration. I thought there'd be surprises. I really did.
Some media, maybe.
I thought the head of Absolute Radio might be here, and there might be some brass. Some brass bands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're going to unveil. They've got you a special gift. It's a plane. It's been really difficult to get hold of. To go to.
Daisy. Thanks for that, Steve. Moving on.
Producer head in hands.
Daisy. Also, she brought a cake in. It's a bit of old cake. I mean, it's nice.
It's not old.
I know, but they're not matching, are they?
Shop bought.
They're not matching, are they?
Looks nice.
Can I tell you what the cakes remind me of? You know when you go to someone's house around Christmas time and they go, oh no, Emily's come round, let's go and wrap up an old sock. That's what they feel a little bit like. But thanks, Daisy, anyway.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a few tweets of shock at the fact that there are cakes and you in the same room. Jati has simply tweeted, Emily and cake? And Luke Solon has tweeted, those look like carbs, what will Emily do?
Yes, I like the way you went a bit sports commentator there. It was good. It doesn't happen often, me and cakes. But then I don't mind. See, I have this theory that I don't want to waste calories on bad food. I don't mind it. If I'm going to enjoy it properly, I want to enjoy it.
Well, I'll eat a bit of it, and I'm mostly eating clean.
Okay,
but
then.
you do a fair bit of training, don't you? Because we saw that clip of you. Come on, Emily! Doing your deadlift.
I work out.
She works out.
I keep in shape. I tell you what I've got to talk to you about, boys. I've had I've had a busy old week, actually. Firstly, I went to a very posh celebrity restaurant called the Chiltern Firehouse.
I saw you tweet about this.
Hang
This
on,
is from the...
a celebrities in there or owned by a celebrity?
Celebrities are in there.
Oh, I see.
Basically,
Right.
I read that you can't get a table unless you're a celebrity.
Right.
Which seems rather unfair.
Did you go with one to get one?
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have
Did
got
they know
one.
you were hosting the treat? Oh, hang on. Frank's awfully excited. Yeah, of course you can have a table.
Well,
It's because it's from the same team who did Viajante.
I beg your pardon. How dare you? It's Kate Moss was there. Daisy
she eat
actually
much?
gasped.
Did she eat much?
I don't know.
Right. My guess is no.
She had a glass of something. Heston Blumenthal was there.
Oh.
That's quite a tough
Yeah,
gig if
that
you're the
is quite
restaurateur,
scary.
isn't it?
Does he just deliberately send back loads of stuff? Go, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, this is undercooked, just to keep the competition on their toes.
Well, it's a bit like doing karaoke when Adele's in the room. I felt really sorry for the chef. Professor Brian Cox was there.
Wow.
Brian Ferry, all sorts. And me, of course. But in those posh restaurants, I never like to say, "Where's the loo?" Because it makes me look like I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Is this like asking how much a Porsche is?
Yeah.
You should be able to afford it.
So I said to the waiter, I want to go to the loo, but I don't want you to point where the loo is. Honestly said this. He went, sorry? I said, I don't want you to be seen to be pointing in a direction so it looks like I don't know. So can you just show me so it looks like we're doing something sort of important on our way to something?
Did he draw it on a napkin too? Like, he just stoop down next to you and... They should have like a little pack of playing cards with maps of the locale so that he can distribute the... Here you
It
are,
could be
madam.
on their website, like next to the menu. You can
Yeah.
download directions to the toilet.
Do you know what he did? He did it. He agreed. He said, OK, madam. He got up and we walked purposefully towards the loo, just so at least I felt it looked like we might be en route to doing some business or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
it was good. Oh, you know what I've forgotten to do this morning, boys? Is congratulate the McFly. Is it Tommy McFly, I think?
Oh, yeah.
Who's had a baby. Little baby Buzz.
Yes.
That's original. Think of your own names. Don't copy others.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
This is the Frank Skinner Show, and I'm Emily Dean, standing in for Frank. And we send big hugs to him. I do miss him when he's not here.
We've heard from
No
the
reflection
outside
on you,
world,
boys.
Emily Dean.
Yes.
I think it might be about our very public spat about the heating in here. 566 has texted Cockrell and Dean when two worlds collide. Social polar opposites. I'm not sure we're exactly social polar opposites. We've got some common ground, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'm not using the phrase Venn diagram because somebody emailed complaining
Yes.
that I say it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just pick words that people say and say.
Well, someone has tweeted me this week, actually, Al, and did say, is Alan going to be talking about Venn diagrams again?
True.
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm glad to have lanced the boil early in the show. You can switch off now if you want.
You've made good on the promise.
We have sort of reached a sort of détente in the air conditioning war. We can
What?
we can retreat from Aircon 1
Oh, very good.
after
Yeah.
the Cold War is over. I'm delighted.
Yes, but
to
I've
say.
said what I've done. I won't repeat the analogy I used, but I've given him too much slack here. So what I've done is I've said, "Oh, turn it. How high is it now, Steve? It's currently
We're at three bars out of 4 on the fan.
Oh, we've never gone 3 bars. Frank will be turning in his duvet. I don't know what that means. But
I'm not talking about the heating anymore. I've made a rule.
but he will be talking about Venn diagrams.
We've had another text. I took my mum to the Wolseley once. That's
The Wolseley, lovely.
I love it there. See, we aren't two worlds colliding. I knew we overlapped on the Wolseley at least.
Wolseley.
And could only get a table near the corner. Back right, I'm sure Emily knows. I faced the corner so that my mum could have a view of the room. I was a bit annoyed until Kate Moss sat on the table behind my mum. She was like a prancing pony, and my chat that day was rubbish. That's nice, isn't it?
I was once sat next to Jimmy Nail in the Wolseley.
I'm so glad you said nail. What an exciting story. How was he?
He was excellent.
Yes.
He was. I mean, I wasn't with him,
No.
but he seems like people were laughing. They were enjoying his company. Crocodile shoes.
Did he have his crocodile shoes on?
He did.
Did he? Brilliant.
There's something very exciting about a celebrity in a restaurant. I don't know why. Because you feel you're sharing my space. We're breaking bread together. even though you're not actually sitting with them. Anyway, so you can text us in on 81215 this morning if you've seen a celebrity in a restaurant. Unless you're Heston Blumenthal, because it kind of doesn't count then.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking, what were we talking about? I can't remember.
Well, I'll tell you what you've done.
Oh, go on.
We got distracted.
Oh, yeah.
And you've inadvertently started a texting.
A deluge.
I didn't mean to.
Have you
deluge
ever
of
seen
text.
anyone famous in a restaurant?
Oh, it's
And,
quite broad, to be fair, isn't it?
But they love a broad texting.
How dare you?
They do. Hi, chaps. I sat next to Sean Connery and his missus in Langens.
Oh, that's such a... Oh, when was it? 1973?
And I mentioned to him that I've never seen a James Bond film. As you can imagine, he was mightily impressed. All the best. Yeah, there's more.
Donna saw George Best in a restaurant in Ireland about 25 years ago, was too nervous to ask for his autograph or picture.
Oh.
So you
It's a
read
shame.
what you saw there. If you
I don't
ask
know.
him.
To be fair, I don't know if he would have remembered.
We've also
God
had
rest
our
his soul.
first sniffy email of the day.
Have
text
we?
Rather. Sorry to be sniffy, but please tell Miss Pedantic, I think that might be you. Sorry to be sniffy, but please tell Miss Pedantic that as far as I'm aware, there is no N in restaurateur.
Oh, dear.
I think that might be one of those people that's correcting you whilst being wrong. You know, the,
Yeah,
In fairness, I
They
did
come in
correct.
every now-
I did correct you on the pronunciation of the Wolseley, so
Yes.
I deserve that. I take my 50 lashes,
792.
and I rather enjoyed it.
792 is texted to say that they once saw Bill Murray in an
Sorry,
Italian
you just said
restaurant.
texted. It's texted.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm going to leave now.
Sorry to be pedantic.
They said they saw Bill Murray in an Italian restaurant. He strolled over, took a bite of his pizza, smiled and said, "No one will ever believe you," and left.
Apparently that's a thing he does.
That is a thing.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
that is a
I've
Bill
read-
Murray
I've
thing.
read quite a lot
Yeah,
of Bill
yeah.
Murray rumours.
What do you mean? So what does he do? He just...
Well, he'll just eat someone's food and say they'll never believe you. And there's some story that he went up behind someone and grabbed, covered their eyes and said, "Guess who?"
Yeah.
And they were going,
Yeah.
"Is it Dave?" Like people they actually knew that would do that.
He said-
Then they
yeah.
turned around and they went, "Bill Murray," and he went, "No one will ever believe you." Just
He
walks
apparently,
off.
does it when he plays golf in St Andrews. He'll occasionally find like a late night student party for the university students, and will go to the party and just do the washing up.
Oh, I love him. Can we get him on the show?
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
No one would ever believe us. I need to talk to you about Primark. So
I knew we'd find
Yeah.
common ground
Yeah.
eventually.
Words we never thought we'd hear on Absolute Radio. Emily Dean wants to talk about Primark.
I like
I
to
mean, I
keep it
prefer
real.
T to the K to the MAXX, but whatever.
Oh, I found you attractive briefly there.
Oh, yeah, well,
You seemed a bit street.
why, thank you.
It's also because you're getting famous because you're doing this show.
Thank you.
I went to Primark, and I quite like Primark, but there's a big one. I
What
know.
has happened to you?
No, this is what happens in the fashion industry. So we mix it up: Chanel bag, Primark shirt. Not today. You mix and match your media. Do you see what I mean? Because it shows some skill.
Yeah.
Any fool can just go
Yeah.
out and buy a load of clothes from an expensive shop.
True that.
That sounds like a euphemism for like mutton dressed as lamb or something like that. Chanel bag, Primark shirt, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Can you not mention the phrase mutton dressed as lamb in this studio? I'd prefer if you didn't. So, I went to Primark, and I was on floor 1, and I was feeling a bit mischievous. I don't know why. And I'd already had this encounter with the waiter during the week. So I was already in talking to my people mode, you know? So I saw a manager. There was a manager. There was about 6 staff. And he was instructing them. They looked a bit scared of him. And he said, "Right, OK, can I just gather you round here? What we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be bending the rules a bit. We're going to be piling these T-shirts in bulk. I know we don't normally do that, but let's break the rules." So as I ascended the escalator, I don't know what possessed me. I said, "I'm telling. I'm reporting you."
You had
As a
banter.
joke.
You
Yeah,
had
I had
staff
banter. Well, I thought it was funny. One of them gasped. They're obviously terrified of him. They went, "Ah!" He went, "What was that?" And I ran up the stairs because I suddenly lost my bottle.
You know what? I bet they thought you were a mystery shopper. One of those ones that's there to see that
Yes.
everything's right, that you're on the payroll.
Oh
It's
my!
easy to spot the mystery shoppers if you've got a cloak, some kind of mask on.
And a Chanel bag in Primark. Although then, well, I need to talk to you about this. Then there was an incident with the security guard over by the Spanx.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Still Can't get over that baby copying the name. Just think of your own names, don't copy other people's.
True that. You were in the Primark.
Oh yeah, I was in the Primark.
They were teaching the staff how to behave. Surely that just involves saying, you know, all the clothes that people chuck on the floor, just leave them there. That's how we run this business. Is that not what they do?
I actually love it in there. They keep it very immaculate now.
Do they?
Yeah, it's almost as immaculate as my concrete patch. There's nothing on it. I went upstairs to floor 3, and I was there's no easy way to say this. I was in the Spanx area,
right?
And they've got a large Spanx area. Have you seen that, Days? I didn't mean that rudely. It's just most women are familiar with it. It's great, the Spanx area. They've got everything. Some of the Spanx, I mean, it basically goes from your ankles up to your neck. It's like a morph suit you essentially wear under evening wear.
Would the readers be familiar with Spanx? I don't know.
Oh yes, shall we explain? So Spanx it's some shapewear, you might know it as. So it's special underwear that you wear.
Like really tight leggings, isn't it?
You know when you're with a lady and she comes back to yours and you think, what the hell have you got on under your clothes?
Why
are you wearing
I don't know that.
some awful lycra morph suit? That is Spanx.
And then they remove it and all flesh breaks loose. Is that
well, it depends who you're with. But yeah, so what it does, it controls you and it keeps you in and it firms you. So it gives you what I call a nice silhouette in clothes.
Right, okay.
And most women wear it now.
Do they?
Yes, I would say so. I love it. I love Spanx. Spanx has changed my life.
Would it work on me?
It would actually. You don't need it. You're a little Mick Jagger, snaky hipped.
I'm a bit angly at the moment, yeah.
You don't need it.
That Spanx don't do for the gangly guys. It's not their thing.
I'm not sure, actually. Let me make some inquiries.
Okay.
So I was looking at the seamless shapewear. So this is underwear that doesn't have any seams, so you can wear it under whites and things like that. So it's quite flimsy, but I'm looking at security guard. He was a security guard. He was not a shop assistant.
Okay.
He said, "Can I help you with those?" I said, "Beg your pardon?" He said, "I just wondered if you need any help with those sizings." So, sizing?
You've made this sound like the sexiest encounter of all time.
I said, I'll tell you when it got less sexy. I said, "I know which pants I want."
Yeah.
Because I do.
Did he beat a hasty retreat?
I didn't need him helping me. He didn't. He still lingered.
Oh dear.
He hung around.
Maybe he thought you were a ne'er-do-well that was about to steal the Spanx.
Yeah.
I said,
he's looked at you and he's thought, no way, this hot honey needs Spanx. She's got to be up to no good. She would never need any shapewear.
She's going to pop some of this stuff in her Chanel bag. She's brought with her. It's a shoplifter's bag for sure.
They'll say, hang on, that's Emily Dean. A month ago, she was talking about which private jets she's
She's fallen on hard times. No, it was very strange. She was lingering. And he was laughing, and I felt uncomfortable. I said, "Oh, I don't know if you should be here." I did actually say that to him. And you know what he said, which was such a strange response? He went, "Okay, have it your way." Have it your way?
No air of menace in that conversation.
Why is it having it my way to expect not to be harassed by a security guard when I'm choosing my smalls?
This could be a new film, adult film situations that never develop into an adult situation.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Prince Charles, near enough a friend of the show, isn't he? We discuss him
absolutely
on occasion.
He's a friend of Frank's.
I think he's inadvertently delivered one of the finest zings of the modern world. Joan Collins tried to get him into a selfie to mimic the Oscars one.
Oh, no.
And, I don't know if this is a direct quote, but the Daily Mail headline has "one politely declines." And I really, really, really hope he said that, because I'm now using that as my catchphrase. That's my thing.
It's a good catchphrase.
Today, when we go for brunch and they say sparkling water, I'll just go "one politely declines." I'm going to do it all the time on anything that I don't want. I just want people to offer me stuff so that I can say "one politely declines."
It's
and I like
perfect.
that you put the Cochrane spin on it, because much like corrections, rather than saying politely, you've made it politely.
Yeah. What he's done is
declines. As a result of my plight, I must decline.
Listen, what's your problem, you two? What's your problem? We didn't all grow up in NW lap of luxury.
He's he's spoiling for a fight this morning. What I like about the way, I'll do some more analysis of the way you say it, is that you give it some Hovis, down to earthness.
What, politely?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
So no, you're doing it so right.
I'm being ganged up on, I think.
So yes, so he did this. So he didn't want to do the selfie.
And I really identify with that.
Mm.
If there's an opportunity to not join in, I really identify with it.
You seize it with both hands.
That's why they call you Switzerland, for that exact reason.
And if there's an opportunity to not join in with a thing that Joan Collins is suggesting, I think that would be great, wouldn't it?
Well,
she shouldn't even be into selfies. She should barely know what that means. Like, when people mention selfies, she should be all confused and old.
Yeah.
Going,
She should be.
That's basically your version of the Groucho Marx quote. I refuse to be a member of any club of which Joan Collins is a member.
Well, to be fair, so she was doing it in a nod. Was it sort of homage to Ellen, who'd done this selfie at the Oscars?
The selfie that broke Twitter, they call it, aren't they?
I'm not sure if Joan Collins has broke Twitter.
No.
I think the capacity was fine on Twitter. I think Ellen had 3.2 million retweets and Joan had 341 last counting.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
because wasn't it the whole thing with the Ellen one was that it was a very clever marketing ploy for the whichever phone took the...
Let's not mention it. Let's not give them that.
Right,
Yeah,
but
good
that
boy.
was so I don't know if Joan Collins has been approached by a manufacturer or whether it's just her sort of looking for some sponsorship.
I must admit, even though she knows the word selfie, which I don't think she should at her age, frankly, she did... it shows on the picture her taking it, and it's obvious that she's using the central button on her iPhone. And I was thinking, come on, you can use the volume buttons on the top to take pictures. You should know that if you're going to do selfies. At least know how to.
I found
Top
it quite
tip
interesting.
there for any
though.
iPhone users.
I know, but she's not. She's gathered some people together, and I think she thinks these people are all the rage.
Yeah.
That's why she's got them.
Yeah, it's quite a dream team of
It's
celebs.
a dream team. Well, we should say who's in it in case they haven't seen it. So we had Pixie Lott instead of Brad Pitt. We had Sam Bailey from X Factor instead of Jennifer Lawrence. And Sir Ben Kingsley, who doesn't seem to have grasped the concept of a selfie, which is you smile and you look happy. He looked like a bank manager turning someone down for a loan.
I was quite
I
excited.
think he just photobombed it. He's not even meant to be in there. He's just walking past.
He was next to Dominic West as well, so you've got Gandhi and McNulty in the same shot.
Do you know what we're going to do this morning?
What?
We are going to do our own selfie of this breakfast show, and I'm going to see if we can beat Joan Collins' 341 tweets.
If that's the case, we might have turned the
Retweets.
heating down. I'm going to be drenched in sweat by
We're
the
going
time
to put
this
the
goes
smack down
viral.
on Joan Collins. Finally, this beef has been a long time coming.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Emily Dean. You're listening to the Frank Skinner Show, though. Confusing much. Frank's not here.
I like the syntax of
Did you like that? I went a bit Yoda. You can text the show on 81215, or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Talking of the Twitters, we've done something. Well, we've laid down a bit of a gauntlet, a bit of John of Gauntlet. We decided Joan Collins had done a selfie, hadn't she?
Yeah.
To match Ellen. Ellen got 3.2 million retweets of her Oscar selfie. Joan got
Broke Twitter.
341
Didn't
with
break
Pixie Lott and Ben Kingsley. And Jules Holland.
Steady.
I just don't think it was the best photo of him. I don't think he looked very savoury in it, but I'm sure he's a lovely chap, I think. We've just done our own selfie, haven't we?
Yeah,
and
we
we
have.
haven't even got Frank here.
Yeah,
Yes.
although he was here in picture form, wasn't he?
We held a picture of him up. We've just tweeted it. So please feel free to retweet it from @Frank on the Radio. And let's try and beat Joan this morning.
This could be hubris of the most horrendous kind. We could be Icarus about to plunge into the sea as Joan Collins trounces us.
I think we're going to get about 5 retweets.
5 million.
5 retweets.
5 million. I reckon it could break Twitter again, just like the Oscars one.
I think we'll get maybe Frank's mother-in-law, Sandy Mason, might do it, and possibly Britain's fattest man. Those are the only people that will retweet it.
Armin Mivers, can he be counted on? Does he?
Has he got internet access?
I think so.
He's got other fish to fry. So we were talking about Prince Charles on Absolute Radio this morning.
Brilliant.
Because he obviously turned the selfie down.
Good for him.
What
I
did he
respect
say
him.
out when he turned it down?
One politely declines. Politely.
I'm going to start
Without
saying that to
oh.
men. I'm afraid one politely declines. I've had graciously decline. That's what American PRs use a lot.
Oh, really?
I think once I'd asked to do an interview with Jennifer Aniston, I went, Jennifer graciously declines your request.
Wow.
There you go.
Bet she didn't. I bet she just said no.
Get that woman away from me. So
the Prince has been in the papers for other reasons. Ironically, for not being PC. Prince Charles, non-PC.
What happened? Was this at the same event that Selfie Gate happened?
I don't know. I
think
certain,
it was.
But he said to a Scottish comedian, Des Clark, that he doesn't understand Scottish people, especially when they've had a drink.
Which is that's a big thing to say, given that he was in Scotland, I think, when he said it.
Yes.
I think he was then also joking, because he said to him, I'll make sure I speak to you before 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
And it's quite possible that
who is this Des Clark? Because he sounds like a character from Coronation Street.
No,
Well,
it's a Scottish comic.
is he?
Is he? Is he quite...
He's a very good
Oh, is
stand-up
he?
comedian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think he'd done some stuff on Kids Telly at some point or something like that. Or like,
I think he was on SMTV.
Yeah, that's
or
it,
something
that's it,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
for a wee while.
So
But,
why did Charles say that? He's gone a bit his father.
Yeah, well, I just imagine that there are certain words that Scotsmen would use to him that he wouldn't know. So he'd be there going, "What is a posh raj?"
But also, I think it's...
Sorry, what is a posh raj?
We can't talk about that, can we, right now?
No,
We can, surely. It's just a nice term.
Yeah, it's a term
Okay.
of endearment for the royalty.
I think also... What I thought was slightly hypocritical is that I think posh people are infinitely worse when they're drunk than Scottish people, accents-wise.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Are you going to do an impression of a really posh drunk person?
Maybe.
Go on then, do it. That'd be good to see. I'd like to... Go on, do your little
No,
voice.
I'd like to take you by surprise.
Oh, okay.
Well, the zenith would be a very posh, very drunk Scottish person. And you do get, there are many posh Scots.
Yeah, but you can't tell though, can you? You can't tell. Like, when they're really posh, they're like, yes, I'm from Scotland. Are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I know those ones.
Yeah.
I've got one. I've got a friend who goes, I went to Theatres College.
Nice.
That's my Scottish impression for the day. And then you might hear my posh one later. I don't like to do it on command. I'm not some sort of performing monkey. Oh, yes, I am.
Go on.
Sorry,
go
I'd forgotten about that. Shall I do it?
Go on.
Okay, no, I might do it in the next link. But in the meantime, can we check on the Twitter and see how those retweets of that selfie? Have we had any yet?
I don't.
If we get less...
I
we haven't got one.
Oh no, I tell a lie. Possibly they're coming through.
If we get less than 3, I'm ending it all.
It's like a Blue Peter totalizer.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Guess what? You know, we're retweeting our very own selfie in the style of Ellen, more in the style of Joan Collins, to be honest. And we had Sandy Waugh, we had all of the team. We had a rather tragic coloured photocopy of Frank. And we've already... How many retweets have we got, boys?
We're up
I'm
to
counting.
110, I think.
There's next to
116.
no point asking me about this,
116.
so I'm not-
116. So we've only got... How many more? We're almost halfway there till we beat Joan. Come on, we can do this.
Alan, if ever there was a time for you to get a Twitter account.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make a prediction that by the end of the show we're somewhere in between Joan Collins and Ellen.
Okay. That would be
guess.
good. That would be good.
What do you think of that for a prediction?
Well, I
Check
don't
out
know, but
Nostradamus over here.
Can I also give a shout out to those people who are favouriting us? Don't favourite us. That's a complete waste of time. I hate favourites.
Yeah.
Does me no. I hate favourites in general. By the way,
To be honest,
if you want to say you like something of mine, tell the world. Don't tell me.
yeah.
That'd be a good name for a
Heaven
horse.
forfend. You should
could-
say a very specific thing on Twitter is
Yeah.
a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
If you could call a horse retweet and then it became the favourite. Oh, that'd be good.
That would be excellent. Yeah. So carry on retweeting.
The selfie, I don't get it. There's so much about this I'm not into.
Just eat your old cake and be quiet.
I've been photographed this week, though. Not
Have
in a
you?
selfie capacity, in a future publicity shots capacity. Cause,
Oh, lovely.
One needs
Were you-
needs a picture,
Oh, all right, Charlie.
as Prince Charles would say.
Were you in one of those big wicker chairs, Emmanuel style?
No, I was quite often in streets this time because my mate Craig, who's a photographer, he does photos for a living, but I happen to know him, and he's done various of mine in the past, and so I said, I'd like another photo, and he said, I haven't got my studio anymore, we'll do some outdoor ones.
Lovely.
So we did, and he likes this muse. There's a muse that he likes the lights in.
Oh, yes.
Near
Where's this?
Lancaster Gate. Near Lancaster Gate. So we're doing the photos in the muse, and he gave me... you know, they've got loads of stuff, haven't they, photographers?
Oh, the equipment.
They bring the gubbins, they bring all that stuff. And, you know that big thing that they open up out of a pouch, and there's a big silver sort of...
The reflector, yeah.
The reflector. Looks like a pop-up tent, but it's actually just...
Looks like you're going glamping.
So he asked me to hold that, so I'm holding it, right? And he's going, oh, that's good, the light's bouncing onto your face now. He's taking the pictures, and then a Chinese woman came past, right? And started looking at the reflector as if I've got a tray of cakes or something. She walked up and just leaned her head as if to go, hello, what are you offering? Looked at me, not disappointed, not pleased, just
intrigued.
And just stayed there. Stayed over
Fantastic.
Craig's shoulder. Just
Did she?
Craig turns around a few times, he went, hello, never spoke to him. Just stayed, thinking eventually there's going to be some cakes or something, some sausage
She could
rolls.
be, if this was like a Philip Pullman novel, she could be your familiar.
She was just looking like, oh, this guy. And I had a suit on. I had a nice suit on.
I bet you did.
She was looking as if, this guy in the suit, he's lost his vol au vents off the tray. What's going on here?
So does that mean when they get the results of the photo shoot, will we go, well, why does Alan look confused and slightly annoyed in all these photos?
Possibly petrified.
Rather angry.
One of those moments where I wanted to say to Craig, she is there, isn't she? There is a Chinese woman there. Isn't
Can I ask you, how flattering are they on a scale? Are they?
I haven't seen them
In the
yet.
event of something terrible happening to you, would you let your family release them to the Daily Mail?
Well, I
That's
don't
my
know.
test.
I'll tell you what is a bit of a worry. That
Yeah.
we then moved and we did some in Carnaby Street, which also worked. He was pleased with them. And then we came to Absolute and I changed out of my suit and into some casual wear. And we went to an alley round the corner, which
I
smelled
don't know
of...
if I want to finish this story.
Well,
I don't
let
want
me
to
finish. It smelled of urine, and Craig was going, this is much better, this is really good. And it turns out I'm the guy who is photographed really well in alleys that smell of urine.
Did the Chinese woman follow you?
Yeah, she was around. She's here now. She's in the lobby waiting for me.
Don't you love his story?
Looking forward to the cakes.
I love his story about how I didn't know who she was. He's just tried to think of an excuse for his wife about why he was in an alley with that woman. Disgusting.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
You know, I think it's time to go, boys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's rather unpleasant.
Email corner. We have had an email from Mike in Edinburgh.
Yes.
Who says, Frank, Emily and Alan, good morning to you all.
Good morning.
You
On
probably
last
didn't
week's
know at
show...
the time of sending that it was going to be you, Steve. Don't take that
It doesn't
personally.
for me. I know my place. We've discussed this many times. I'm
Oh,
just,
really?
I'm
That's
just
interesting.
grateful for the work.
I don't know my place, actually.
Something to do on a Saturday.
Yeah, it gets me out of bed.
Not a lot of gigs on a Saturday morning for comics.
He Mike says, on last week's show, Emily cracked an excellent joke that
Oh.
went completely unacknowledged by Frank and Alan.
Yes.
When Frank was describing trying to find and locate the moon for Buzz...
Can I just say the first Buzz and the best and the original?
The original Buzz.
Yep.
The second Buzz after Buzz Aldrin.
The best Buzz, in my opinion.
It is difficult to say that someone's stolen the name if there was one before it, but yeah.
No, not in
Take your
recent.
point.
No,
Take your
not in
point.
recent times.
And of course, Buzz Aldrin wasn't really called Buzz. His name was-
not in recent times though.
Yeah.
The Premier League era Buzz.
Anyway, so we'll continue.
He concluded by saying, Frank concluded by saying, I saw the crescent, to which Emily replied that she too saw the crescent, but you saw the whole of the moon.
Yeah, I did say
Waterboys
that.
reference, lovely stuff. Frank and Alan may be the professional comics, but they should pay more attention to Emily's bon mots.
Sorry, can you just read that bit again?
Isn't it Bon Mots?
They should pay more attention to Emily's bon mots.
Okay,
Emily's
I've just
got
got that.
some lovely bon mots.
I've just got that for my text
I've
alerts
been
now.
paying really close attention to Emily's Bon Mots all day today, so I think that's fine, isn't it? That's fine.
I've turned the fan down now.
To be honest, this chat...
They've missed that one as well. They miss everything.
Because he's buttered Emily up with that, and I think now he's moving into his real...
Can I just offer my rebuttal before we move on? Because I don't think that I...
You like big rebuts, and you cannot lie.
Yeah, exactly. Very good.
See, look how much love he got for that joke. If I'd have said that, he would have ignored it.
I didn't not laugh at this on purpose.
Yes.
I don't want you thinking that I'm one of those guys that's like, oh, yeah, the woman that isn't... I just didn't get it. My musical knowledge is too low to get...
Maybe you're too young.
Nah.
Really?
It's just, I don't data retain. I don't always have lyrics in my head.
I don't data retain either.
Although it's odd that you would have referred to that song, because supposedly that song is meant to be about Prince, who I believe you don't like.
I don't just not like him, I despise him.
The rumours are it's either about Prince or C.S. Lewis,
Is that
which
right?
is a fairly
C.S.
unusual...
Lewis, yeah, isn't it?
And
about
what
the
God
poem?
could it be about Prince? How did he see the whole of the moon? What, in those purple velour leggings? I don't think he saw much at all. With that cloak.
Anyway, we're getting slightly away from the real
let's-
thrust of Mike's email, which he's
Continue.
buttered you up with your bon mots.
And I liked it.
And then he said, that aside, I need suit help. Next Tuesday I have to go for an interview which will require the purchase of a suit, not a common occurrence in my past, and I'm ashamed to say. However, as Frank is the original man in a suit and Emily lives and breathes fashion, would you be kind enough to give me advice as to what type of suit you would recommend, colour, style, plain or striped, etc. If you address this issue today, I will have this afternoon and Sunday to make my purchase.
Obviously, I have a lot of opinions on this, but I want to mix it up a bit. I think it would be much more interesting to get both of your opinions on what suit he should go for.
Well,
Alan Cochrane?
I'd like to know where he is in the country, because if he's in London, I can recommend a very good suit shop.
See if there's branches of Mr. Byright.
But more importantly than what type of suit he buys, can I beseech the gentleman in question? Can I beg of you, get it to fit right? Because it really annoys me that,
You're right.
99.9% of men in Britain buy a suit that's ill-fitting. I was told recently that when you have your suit on and the button done up, you want to be able to fit 2 of your fingers down the armpit bit.
I don't want to fit any of my fingers down there.
Not
Thank
3,
you.
not 3, 2. That's a
Is that right?
It's a reasonably tight-fitting suit, which is why when David Beckham's on the pictures in the Daily Mail, there's loads of comments saying, his suit's too small, his suit's too small, his suit's too small. It's not, it fits. And yours doesn't. That's the problem. with
Extraordinary
society.
clothing rant this morning.
Oh, it
No,
just
I would agree
annoys
with
me.
you, Alan.
Annoys
I'd agree
me.
with you. It should
and
be
there
snug.
should be about an inch of your sleeve showing, your shirt
Yes,
sleeve
that's absolutely
from the
correct.
bottom of
Yeah.
your cuff. So there's...
And don't wear a Caramac slip-on with the suit.
I personally would say
a
go
Caram-
3-button.
Caramac.
3-button with
I
the
call
top 2 buttons
that
done up,
particular
but
shade of
nobody listens
shoe
to me.
that men favour,
Oh, I
Caramac.
see, right. I briefly thought that you'd got had a real fashion faux pas and just turned up in some Caramacs.
No, I would never do that. We're going to have to play some music, I'm afraid. But, Steve, the nation is itching to know what you would advise sartorially, so we'll be back with that in a minute.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've got a text from 546 that says, loved the Cockerell's impression of generic Daily Mail reader.
Yeah, well, they
Well,
get angry about
I
the
left
wrong
you
things,
hanging
don't they?
during that last link. We were going to talk about Steve Hall's sartorial tips.
because
In
that's-
fact, during that break, I should just say, I heard Steve saying to Alan, well, I've got a fitting next week.
Nice.
Sound like Kate Middleton.
Yeah, well, it's when I was working on the last series of Russell Howard's Good News, the way I would unwind on a Friday night would be I'd get drunk with my wife and I would order suits on eBay. So I bought, over the course of the series,
It's expensive.
I bought about 10 suits and had to send 9 of them back because they didn't fit.
Did you order whole suits on eBay?
Yeah, I bought whole. So what I'm wearing now, this little jacket, Paul Smith. That is an eBay purchase.
How many pints was that?
This was a bottle and a half of wine.
Do you know what? It's lovely.
It's a nice. This is the only. It's worth it.
Your drunken purchases are better
Yeah.
than mine, which is Thong Song, as we all know.
He's only got 1 out of 10 right, though. That's not
Yeah,
great.
yeah, it's not, the
a
hit
great
rate isn't
batting
good.
average, is it?
But and so Russell Howard's gift to me, very generously at the end of the series, was a Tom Sweeney bespoke suit.
That's nice, isn't it?
And I'd never had a suit fitted ever. And the bespoke experience, you feel so special. It's
Nice.
It's like when we've talked before about when we went for a Turkish shave.
We went for the hot towel shave. It's lovely.
And you feel like a proper
Beautiful.
gentleman. You feel like you could be on the pages
You've
of
got a
GQ.
suit. What's Frank ever
No, we
given
went-
me?
Oh, yeah,
Other
good
than
point.
career fulfillment? Happiness is what
But
he's given me.
they're so attentive. And while I was having my suit, I've had the first measuring, and I'm in on Monday again to see what they've done. And when I was in there, Jack Whitehall's dad was in there.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I got
was
quite
he?
excited.
I bet he's a tricky one to fit. I just mean I bet he knows what he wants.
Yeah, rather than he's
You know
an
people
unusual
like
body
that.
shape.
That always that means
But bespoke, yeah, it
That means
depends what.
difficult.
I don't know what Mike in Edinburgh's budget is, but if you can go bespoke, go
Great.
bespoke.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
I believe we're still in email corner.
We are.
In that case, allow me to bring you another missive. Hi, Frank, Alan and Emily. Being a biker...
Oh, lovely.
Excellent. You were pretty
Being a
mean
biker.
about...
I love that. I love that book.
About bikers.
It's a section of Email Corner, Biker Grove.
Oh, yeah, nice. Very good. Very good. Can I just say, on record, how much of a fan I am of the Hairy Bikers? I watch their programme.
They're great, aren't they?
They're brilliant.
I just
They're really
think they're
great.
I like being a biker, though, Al. I think it's a bit like I, Claudius. I'd read that.
This is partly because we ended up talking about me having a little daydream that I like the idea of having a motorbike. Being a biker, I'm used to not knowing how much fuel is left. Until recently, bikes didn't even have a fuel gauge. Information. So I don't tend to be too scared by the fuel warning light being on. This is in relation to your girl's empty conversation last week.
Because I said I like to ride it right down to the wire, Steve Hall.
Terrifying.
I drive on zero.
Steve continues, when I use a courtesy/hire car, which almost always comes with barely enough fuel to drown an ant, I always have a full can of petrol to pop in the boot so I can avoid having to put any fuel in. This has led me to be quite brave and drive courtesy cars far beyond the point I would dare if I didn't have spare fuel with me. So far, my record is 105 miles, with the warning light blinking furiously and the needle showing completely empty. I don't do this to save money on fuel as such. It's more to see their face when I return it with even less fuel than they provided it with. That is all. Steve, Prisoner 640.
Steve.
I'm impressed. I'm really impressed.
Well, firstly, can I say I'm impressed by barely enough fuel to drown an ant. That's very get your motor running.
Yes.
Isn't it?
And slightly terrifying about what he would do. Given
I admire his commitment, though. His devotion.
I have a slightly pernickety point to make.
Go on.
I thought you weren't allowed to drive with petrol in your boot. I thought that was like a thing. Isn't it a fire hazard?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't care about fire hazards. What I do care about is there's no jeopardy involved. And I'm sorry, but I don't think it counts. I think that's like asking a woman out when you've got a girlfriend at home that you're about to break up with.
Yeah.
You're not actually putting your neck on the line there, are you? Nothing bad is going to come of that.
Compared a woman to a can of petrol.
Yeah, God,
not for the first time, Steve Hall.
If I did that, my career would go up in flames.
Oh,
go on.
Lovely. Frank would be so proud of your work today.
Point at a can of petrol and say, fill her up.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Steve, who did just text in, emailed in about driving on empty with the petrol in the boot.
Oh, yeah.
Has reminded me that after we talked last week for so much time about driving with the fuel light on, I then did a gig and tried to drive home the whole way with the fuel light on. And I reckon I did 50 miles after the car said 30.
Oh, sorry.
But
I'm bothered by that.
It started to flash at me, and I got too scared, and I had to find a services. I pressed, the thing on the sat nav where it.
Oh,
it tells
you've let me down.
I bottled it. I just couldn't do it.
You see, that's why I won't get intimate with you, because for that.
That's not why.
for that reason, I'm out.
That's not why. I started having morbid fantasies that I was going to be stuck on the motorway in the middle of the night, thinking, what do you gain by that, you idiot? Just for playing dare with your own petrol. It's ridiculous.
I did get a lot of night moves this week on Twitter, and it was all gauge related.
Really?
I must have had 50 petrol tanks tweeted at me, all on the red line. I rather enjoyed it, I must say.
Men who like to flirt with danger.
How dare you call me danger?
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Emily Dean. I'm standing in for Frank Skinner this morning. Frank can't be with us. I'm not going to elaborate on why. There's nothing sinister, actually. He's just spending more time with his family. You can text the show on 81215. You can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, and Frank will be back next week, so don't worry, Frank. The show's in very capable hands.
The retweets of our selfie are carrying on apace.
Oh,
we can
no.
be very proud of this.
This is so embarrassing, Frank. I'd like to apologise to you. You might need to. We decided, because Joan Collins had done an Ellen selfie, we did ours, and you weren't even here. The celebrity wasn't even here.
Yeah.
We had a picture of him. I don't know if I want to know. Joan Collins, Ellen had 3.2 million retweets. Joan Collins had 341. How many have we had?
Well, we're up to about 175. I checked a few minutes ago. But what I also checked, and I fear sabotage may be taking place. I checked Joan Collins's, and hers are up to 452.
Oh, no! no! She's raised the bar.
Yeah, and she's had 400 favourites as well. So she's thrashing us in the favourites.
I've heard there's more than that, but that's another story.
Yeah. 400 favourites. Several of those are just Anthony Newley.
Actually, we're up to 183. I've just checked.
Oh.
Yeah, but there are 33 favourites. Can I just say, people favouriting, stop it. Stop it. Just retweet us.
It's actually realising that Joan Collins' achievement is actually a bit more impressive. This has been a lesson in us being humble before the Twitter gods.
No, can I just say, that was over the period of perhaps a week. We've only had 2 hours, but anyone...
But they have been the longest 2
anyone
hours
tuning in
of our
now,
lives,
please retweet us. No, don't. We're not going to beg for retweets. Alan's already ticked me off for that.
Have I?
Yes.
Can I get a retweet?
We won't beg, Al, will we? We're better than that.
Are we? I'm starting to think not so much now.
I'm personally
I thought
not.
They were just coming.
But I thought maybe you two were.
I thought by now we'd have thousands, but this is what happens, isn't it?
Well, there's only 400 people listen to the show. What are we expecting?
Don't tell them that. They'll all feel more special than they ought.
Yeah.
Now, there's a news story I saw this week, and I saw it and I thought
all right,
of
Natasha
you.
Kaplinsky.
How dare you? Yeah, that's too far. I saw the story and I immediately thought of you. It was a survey into women's handbags.
Lovely.
And it said that the average contents of a woman's handbag,
yes,
the contents add up in value to 284 quid. Mm-hmm. And I thought that would be a fraction. Your diary alone would be worth thousands. Did you get your purse stolen?
Yeah, I would say, no, that's quite a lot of money, isn't it? £284.
Yeah, isn't 280 of that in money, though? When the bag is 4 quid.
Yeah, that seems quite a lot. I don't know where they did this survey. Buckingham Palace, maybe.
Well, I was intrigued because there was a number of interesting findings. They said 3% of women admit to owning more than 100 bags. And as well as the usual essentials...
100?
100 bags.
Lightweights.
And as well as the usual essentials, weird things that were listed in being in women's bags were a lock of dead cat's hair, climbing crampons, and a piece of coal.
I'm so glad you said crampons.
I like the idea that was all in the same bag.
Exactly. It implies it's some sort of mountaineering witch.
It's the weirdest escort work ever, is what it is. Well, in the interests, it's funny, I did look in my bag. Mm-hmm. And I've looked this morning, and I can tell you what I found.
Tell us.
I can exclusively reveal.
What's in
I've
the
made
bag?
a list of
Is
what's
this
in the
a new
bag.
radio feature?
Yeah.
What's in the bag?
What's in the bag? Maybe in a little northern voice like that. In the bag. In the bag this morning, Alan. We've got. This is all genuine items, genuine in my bag. 3 lone almonds.
Oh yeah.
2. This is all true, I'll show you. 2 waxing strips.
This is a weird version of the 12 Days of Christmas so far.
There's no partridge in that pear tree. Facial waxing strips. Facial.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 pair ballet pumps.
1 pair of ballet pumps.
Yep. 2 false eyelashes.
Wow.
1 $10 bill.
This is turning into the most middle-class version of the Generation game of all time.
1 $10 bill. He didn't tip very well. This is genuinely true. A business card from the head concierge at the Oberoi, Mumbai. His name was Edwin Saldana.
You're giving out his name?
Yeah.
Hey, Edwin.
Not his number. Yeah. And a business card, more unusually, a business card from Nigel Farage.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. I met him when I was on this morning. What would that tell you about me, the contents of that bag?
That you're quite a globetrotter, that men give you their business cards.
Yeah, you're a globetrotter, but you're suspicious of Romanians and Bulgarians with the Nigel Farage business cards.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for that card, to be fair. It was
foisted upon you.
It was thrust upon me, yeah.
Really?
But yeah, I'm very strict about men looking in my bag. I won't have them rummaging in there.
Well, that is one of the things in the article that quite a lot of men don't like the idea of looking in their partner's bag. I'm the same. I wouldn't. I don't want to look in my wife's bag. She hasn't got a designer bag though. She's got one of those satchels. You know, the bright yellow.
Oh
London
yes, I
satchels.
like a satchel. Yeah.
There's no designer bags in our house. I've got more designer luggage than my wife does.
Yes, I expect you
I
have.
bought a Mulberry suitcase when I was drunk on eBay once.
Well, it feels like the thing you should only do it if you're, if your wife says, "Can you get something out of my bag?"
Yeah. Can you pass me the lozenges or something like that?
Oh, the old, the old I asked with me. You know what? I can see you as being a bit of a rummager, Steve.
Can we do mine? I've got a spiky ball and some baby oil.
Frank
Absolute Radio.
We should say you can text us this morning on 81215, or you can tweet us on @Frank on the Radio. You can retweet our picture. Not sounding desperate.
Lady.
I know. What else was I going to say? I can't remember. Days, what else was I going to say? Oh, I know.
You can ask me about my spiky ball.
No, it was something else. But talk about your spiky ball, and then I'll remember what I was going to say.
Genuinely, in my bag, I carry a spiky ball that I use for self-myofascial release, which my wife hates it when I give it its full name.
Something has just come up saying too loud on the screen.
Oh, yeah. When I say self-myofascial,
I would say too filthy
That's the
creep.
sound of the universe shrieking.
It's basically like a massage ball, but I have a tight glute. Yeah, you heard. And so I sit on this little ball, but also in my bag I do have baby oil, and so I just worry that if somebody was to go through my bag and go, "Oh my God, he's got a spiky."
What do you do when you go through customs?
Well, I don't.
You don't take your spiky ball and your baby oil with you?
To be honest, I haven't been through customs since I've had the
Can I be honest, Alan?
release habit.
You've got the spiky ball.
Yeah.
You've got the baby oil. You also had one of those carry-on wheelie suitcases,
I do, yeah.
which do look a bit like you work nights. Should we put it that way?
Yes.
It's all a bit spearmint rhino.
Do you know what I've been thinking?
The wheelie suitcase.
I might start. I too, like yourself, carry around nuts. So I find sometimes I just find like 3 cashews in the bottom of a bag, and that's been annoying me. But you know what? I might start putting in there.
What?
I fancy a Swiss Army knife, just for those times.
I'd love me one of those.
You know when you think, oh, I wouldn't mind a plum. I could slice a plum and eat it off the knife like Huckleberry Finn or something.
Is that your version of I could crush a grip? I could slice a plum.
Chicken Francis really doesn't get enough quoting on commercial radio.
Alan's
this day and age.
new take on I could crush a
I could
grip.
jump off a doll's house. I know them all.
What's in your bag, Steve Hall?
I've got. It's fairly.
We should say, sorry, Steve. You should text us in on 81215 because I want to know the strangest thing. I know it's quite late in the day for this, but deal with it.
I did for a while have squeezy hand grippers when I was trying to get my hands stronger. I was carrying around a little squashy egg.
Squeezy hand grippers.
Yeah, to make your grip strength better for the
No,
grappling.
I don't know that.
For the grappling.
I don't know that.
All right, fair enough.
Squeezy hand gripper.
My wife is a psychologist, and she once alarmed. She once alarmed a patient because she was reaching into her handbag to get a glasses wipe, and accidentally pulled out a whole carrot. Which, given I don't know how disturbed her patient was, but if they thought they were seeing things.
No, what about when I delved into my bag? That's just it. No, what about when I delved into my bag and I was in the newsagent? I told you that story, and I'd been having a Saint-Tropez tan, and the little pants that they make you wear, the paper pants, and it had all the Saint-Tropez tan on it. It was all brown.
Oh,
and they were hanging off my purse. And
oh, that's disgusting.
I know, and the newsagent thought that. He went, "Oh God."
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were running a little texting of what's in your bag. This is probably one of
What's in your... Now, you've got to do a northern accent. That's how I like it. What's in your bag?
I did do a northern accent.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I have.
You could do it as in like, oh God, what's in your bag?
Sorry that I've just had a go at Alan
for not being northern
enough.
There's a first time for everything, isn't there? Anyway, 076 has texted with what's in his bag. He bag on 076. He says, latex gloves, odd excuse, fixing bike punctures. Now it makes sense.
You should have said fixing bike punctures.
Fixing bike punctures. As a fellow cyclist, I occasionally cycle with a packet of wet wipes in my bag.
Do you?
Yeah, for the odd little...
As a single lady, I do the same.
Yeah, all the single ladies, all the cyclists. That's how the song goes, isn't it?
I love that remix.
Yeah.
Steve Hall in the house.
Hello.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Or as a couple of the texters have called you, the intruder.
Yes.
Oh, is that what they've called him?
The stand-in.
The stand-in and the intruder.
I often get called the intruder in other contexts.
Hey,
Yeah,
how are we doing on that Twitter account?
Oh, God,
I mean,
you two.
No, I know, I've got
You
quite
two.
obsessed.
It's
I'm a
like
very
couple
competitive
of
person.
teens with this popularity contest.
Well, I've been informed by one of my regulars, don't forget to add the retweets of this retweet from Frank on the Radio, which will be counted separately.
Oh,
Alan pointed out that was a bit... What did you say, Al?
That's just like winning on points, isn't it? It's depressing, if anything. It's like winning on goal difference or something.
Well, that means in total so far we have
beating Joan Collins.
We've got boffins. We've got boffins in lab coats working behind the scenes as we speak, and they'll have
wearing
those.
latex
It
gloves,
may
that's
feel
another
like
story.
a victory on away goals, but you need to be winning
win's a
these.
win.
Because if you can grind out a win against Joan Collins, it all counts for the title at the end
This
of the day.
is true.
True that.
It's tricky.
Oh, Joan.
We're going for the kind of George Graham approach to the victory, aren't we?
Win ugly.
Week in, week out.
Yeah.
1-0.
Show
but
me
you
a
can.
good loser and I'll show you a loser, as I believe Vince Lombardi once said.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
So, Steve Hall, you've had quite an interesting week, I understand.
Yes, well, it's since I've last been on, I get to the occasional writing gig.
Oh, lovely.
Writing jokes for people more photogenic and better at performing than I am.
Tush, come on.
And, Steve, don't
so
put yourself
bashful.
down. We'll do that.
So I did a couple of days on a sports quiz show.
Lovely.
Can I identify the show? It's a very
don't know.
Please.
I did a few days writing on A League of Their Own.
Did you?
It was a fantastic show. It's a
Oh.
real genuine treat to be on.
Yes,
really good
they
fun.
get some big guests on that.
Yeah,
don't they?
it was very
Biggies.
exciting. And on my first day on the show, one of the guests was one of the genuine heroes, Kevin Keegan.
No way.
And
I would love it if I met him.
I would love that.
And
I
he's
would love
brilliant.
that, Alan.
He's got a genuinely lovely sense of humour about all that stuff. So
good.
we were sort of nervously wondering what I don't want to ruin. I won't spoil
No,
anything
no
in the
spoiler
show.
alerts.
But he was just up for anything, but I got to sit with him for half an hour, and he was just we were just chatting. I'm a Southampton fan. He was telling me about his days at Southampton. It's just
Steve.
I was wondering because
Did you go a bit competition winner?
Yeah, I was completely.
Did you?
I felt like a Make-A-Wish kid. It was.
Did you? Did you take a picture of you and him?
No, I managed not to because I thought I prefer the memory. I don't need the photo.
Do you know what I like? You've got really excited when you're talking about this, like a kid telling the parents they've met someone.
Well, it was weird because one of the other guests, they had some cricketers on, and the cricketers didn't. And that's the interesting
It's like the flaw in the rug, isn't it?
And I was chatting to a few people about this. What is it about meeting footballers in particular that means so much more? So even hanging out,
means a great deal to me, I tell you.
Jamie Redknapp,
Lovely.
brilliant, delightful human being, and it was it was quite weird.
Glass legs, but delightful human being. That's what they used to say.
He was showing me some of his
he's
scars.
fragile.
He's had a lot of operations, but but I was intrigued. I'd like to know who the two of you have met who has properly blown your mind. Who have you lost it over when you've met?
Where do we begin? I mean, I've had a few. I did leave a
Ones that
meeting.
you can broadcast.
Yes. Well, yeah, ones I can broadcast. So I did leave a meeting recently, which was great, and I said, I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to leave you as I have a 1 p.m. with Gary Lineker. Excuse me.
Brilliant.
And then I left.
Fantastic.
And I had my Starbucks with Gary.
That is good.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's great.
I try not to meet my heroes. I just think it's a mistake. I'm not even joking. I don't.
But is there anyone you've
There's
met?
a couple of times I could have met the band Elbow, and I've elected not to.
Well, weren't they playing on Absolute Radio not
Yeah,
so
and
long
I was
ago?
there. I saw them with about 50 people here, and I didn't. I don't. You know,
Why didn't you not go up to them?
I don't want.
But you're northern, they're northern.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's have a party.
Could all knit together,
know?
but I'm a big fan of theirs, and I don't want them to think of me as like, oh, he's that guy that's a massive fan of. It's just a bit cloying.
The seldom seen fan.
Yeah, exactly. I just, you know.
Yeah, but what? They don't know about your tight glutes.
Well, I could tell them all about that.
Ow. What about when I was in Jim Carrey's dressing room?
No way.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Where are we up to on those tweets? Just
Oh God.
I know.
Needy. What was that?
393
Does that mean we've done it?
on a technicality. We won. Yes, come on.
Well, that's good, isn't it? And now can we move on?
Yes.
like grown-ups might.
Oh, I don't believe I ever told you this, but I can never move on.
Oh, okay.
I just asked my exes. Still angry. Steve Hall.
We were discussing meeting heroes, sporting heroes,
Yes.
musical heroes. Alan meeting Elba, meeting Keegan.
I once shared a urinal with Habel Xavier, the Liverpool player at the time.
Sorry to hear that.
I was presented with a pennant when I was 8 by Steve Terry, the Watford centre-back.
I thought you were going to say Jermaine Pennant.
Yes. I used to date. Oh no, I better not go there.
The only other person I've lost my mind.
Premiership team, though. Just saying.
Hashtag.
London-based.
Are we going to carry on with this? Do you want to...
No.
Is it someone from Crystal Palace? Is
got
it
a- it's
Joel,
got a
is it
goal
Joel
in-
Ward?
Higher.
We should move on, Steve.
Yes, we
I think
definitely should.
Sylvan Wilson.
Oh, that's my lawyers just on line
Emily's
one there.
very careful.
Brian Marvel.
Very tempted to go, here it is.
Story of my life, Al.
Indeed.
Yes.
The most excited I've ever been to meet a celebrity was on the 19th of June 1995 outside the London
All right,
Astoria.
man.
I had been to a recording of The Beat, hosted by Gary Crowley. There'd been some excellent bands: Spearhead, Corner Shop, Gene.
Uh-huh.
I think Tricky had been on. It was a marvellous night. And outside the Astoria, I saw Graham Coxon. And I was so excited to meet him, but I also just lost any degree of rationality.
Oh,
so
no.
I
Did you embarrass yourself?
I deliberately bumped into him. I deliberately clipped shoulders with him.
No.
And he said sorry, and I said sorry, and that was it.
Oh, that's all right. You've
It was
come out of that.
pathetic, and I
Okay.
didn't wash my shoulder for the next month.
At least you didn't do that thing of going up and saying, what time is it?
Oh.
The people
What
do
an
that to famous people now. Oh, excuse me, have you got the time, mate? Just because
yeah.
they want to speak to them.
Well, someone did that when I was out with Frank recently.
Oh.
And someone came up to us
Losers.
and went, "Excuse me, mate, do you know where the... I'm just doing a generic accent, I don't know where it's from. Do you know where the sports bar is?"
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was terrible.
Google.
Frank was so nice about it. I was less nice. Never mind that. What about me and Jim Carrey in the dressing room?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
It's been so exciting here, Al, hasn't it? Because we've been counting up. The last tweets have been coming in.
Yeah, it's like the end of a general election, isn't it? It's like the pollsters. We've been going through the boxes.
Pollsters?
Oh, God.
And you're David Grumbleby.
Do you think this is what Barack
been-
Obama felt like? It's
Yeah.
got a similar vibe here, definitely.
Are you watching Joan Collins? You took a hell of a beating.
It's been thrilling.
What's
It's
our
been thrilling.
What's the count, please?
Well, we're at 405 at the moment.
Oh,
405.
405.
For any fact fans, that's on aggregate rather than just like one solid number.
Yeah. We go on to face Gloria Hunniford in the semi-final.
I'd like to just tidy up some other business that we've dealt with. We've had an email in from Steve Petrolhead. Sorry if this has
lovely.
already been said on air. You must not run a diesel car until it runs out of fuel, as
Yes.
they cannot easily be restarted. I very nearly did that last week.
Is that right?
And you may well need to call out a mechanic to bleed air out of the fuel system. Some diesel cars have a complicated series of actions to take in the manual. Petrol cars, on the other hand, are usually fine. Just put more fuel in and then it should restart. But even then, you may flush any sediment in the tank into the filter, so it could then need to be cleaned out. Not a good thing to do. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. It's good with,
Thanks for that,
with a
Steve.
surname like Petrolhead. It feels it's like he's almost born to know about that kind of thing.
It's nice
Do you
when
think
that
he just...
happens, isn't it?
I like the idea that that's what Petrolhead does. He just comes out with those facts, maybe every 45 minutes.
But I think
Brilliant.
that's good. We're doing a little
That
civic
is a
duty,
community
'cause
service being
some
done there.
people might be tempted to have a roll of the dice because we've encouraged them to throughout the show and indeed last week's show.
Yeah.
But now we're going to stop them being broken down by the side of the road forever.
Well, that's a public service that we've
Yeah.
done, and we don't do many of them.
We deserve those retweets.
We earn every single one of those. How many was it again?
400.
405. We earn all of those.
Mm-hmm.
I won't have you doing them down.
Hey, you earned them, Al. You might not like Twitter, but you earned them.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Well, I think that's about all we've got time for this morning. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know about you boys.
It's been a blast.
It's been
Thank
lovely.
you so much for listening. Frank will obviously be back next week. Be seeing you.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.